For all of you that think life happens slowly, I need you to shut the fuck up and listen. In the last 6 months, I watched one of my best friends, my roommate, go from absolute zero and me mentoring him to him partnering with fucking dozens of people who are out of my league, like well out of my league, having been in business for 2 years, and partnering up with a $1.2 million company. And I say it took 6 months, but it went from 90 days to first dollar made to holy fucking shit. And this video is less talking to one individual person that is not me. Because the reality is that people oftentimes need to hear shit like this. I have spent 2 years thinking that I am working hard and convincing myself that I am working hard when the reality is I have not. I haven't done shit. Like, I really haven't. I have convinced myself that what I'm doing is amazing and that what I'm doing is awesome, but that's just not true. It's just not true. Because if one of my closest friends can go from 0 to 100 in 90 days, then why has it taken me 2 years to do so? Because he's far surpassed me now. Like, it's not even close. And I would have never been able to conceive it. And there's 2 points that I want to highlight and 2 points that I want to go into because I think they're the only 2 points that really matter in this entire story. So I want to start by saying this guy is an absolute legend. Obviously, his results are an anomaly and the exception, not the standard. In fact, seeing success is the standard. So obviously starting there. But to paint this picture on how absolutely fucking insane this is, this dude was doing this thing called growth operating, making $2,000 a month. Okay? $2,000 a month, and he had been doing it for so long that he had given up. He's like, I don't know how to do this. I cannot make this work. However, he never told himself that. He never actually told himself, okay, I give up. He was mentally beaten to a core because he had been doing this since the birth of the BizOp, if you will, and could not make it work. Now, I don't think, and I firmly believe that that is not because he actually couldn't make it work. I think he didn't have the resources to do so. However, he then saw this guy on YouTube talking about agencies. And because everybody, when they start out, runs on the business model hamster wheel and they get shiny object syndrome, he fell victim to that. And as soon as he made the change, I was a little wary because I had just met the guy, right? We had met maybe 15 days prior. So I haven't known him that long, but we had already come pretty close. And he said, hey, I'm buying this agency course. And I was like, oh, you have a client, you're making money, you have so much potential, especially also seeing this client that he was working with at the time as a growth operator was absolutely insane. It was nuts. Like a credit niche creator that had, what was it? I think 250,000 subscribers on YouTube. Like anybody in the make money online space, specifically, I guess the biz ops, before you're in like big boy 10 mil, 20 mil, 50 mil a year numbers, knows that that's amazing. Like that's something that you just run up. And he was struggling to do so. So I was like, are you sure you want to do that? And he's like, yes. And then I'm not going to listen to anyone except what they tell me to do in here. And I was like, well, I respect that. Right? That's actually a good idea, right? Stop getting shiny object syndrome. So get shiny object syndrome to remove shiny object syndrome. In theory, it sounded good. I was a little skeptical. However, this dude joined, and the first 7 days, he basically, in my eyes, I was confused because I thought he wasn't doing anything. But he was just setting up his landing page, setting up his funnel, warming up emails, and doing all the prep that needed to be done in order to send mass outreach. Okay? Then, within 30 days, he had a bunch of people closed on a free trial from cold outreach, by the way, had already taken about 7 sales calls. 7 in his first 30 days. For those of you who are by any means successful in business, to get 7 sales calls in your first 30 days of business is insane. It's nuts. Like it is beyond the scope of what is imaginable. This dude didn't even have a script or a process framework for his sales calls. He didn't have payment links made. He had no onboarding process. So He was just told, do outreach and do it like this. So he said, yes, sir, and did it. And he stopped thinking. He turned his brain off, which is the lesson here, right? Stop thinking. But I'll get to that in a second. He went and did it. 7 people, 7 calls, had all of them on a free trial. Then we had a conversation like, hey, dude, you just got to fucking close them. Actually, it wasn't me. It was my other business partner who told him that. And the next person he talked to, 3K retainer, which was in like 3 days later, by the way. So he made his first dollar at around the 30-day mark. He made his 30,000th dollar at like the 45-day mark. This dude had never made more than 2K in a single month. And all of a sudden, he went from 0 to holy shit. Why? Because he found something that works. He did. He just shut up and he listened to an already proven formula. Reach out to people who are qualified, get them on a call, close them. And he just kept doing it. And he just kept doing it, kept doing it, kept doing it. Like, the company whose info product he bought just brought him on as a partner. The company whose info product he bought, he closed all of their founders. This is afterwards, obviously, and I don't think it was all of the founders. I think it's 3 of the 5, or 4, I forget. And the only thing that he did was realize this works. I'm going to keep doing it, and I'm going to stop thinking. I'm just going to do it, which is a absolutely massive thing that so many people do. I have another friend who's in business. He's just getting started, and he thinks a lot, right? And I forget who said it, but there was a quote that said, someone 10 times dumber than you is 10 times richer than you because they understand what you don't. They give themselves room to fail. And I think there's a lot of beauty in that. Because I don't think that I am a very book smart individual. I don't think that I give myself a lot of credit when it comes to intelligence. Maybe I do now. But when I was starting, I certainly didn't. I thought I graduated high school. I didn't. I got accepted to 2 universities or colleges. They're not actually universities. They're these small community colleges, basically. And I didn't even get a chance to go, 1, because I didn't want to, but 2, I didn't actually graduate high school, so I never had the option to regardless. I got accepted, but never finished high school. Now, in traditional terms, that's a pretty key indication that you're not a very smart person. However, here we are. I think I'm pretty smart. And the fact that I did not think I was very smart for the first, I guess, 2 years of doing this allowed me to make mistakes, allowed me to not be worried about what I look like. Now, I want to emphasize a point. I need to repeat this to myself constantly, that I'm not as smart as I think I am. I am not above XYZ work. Why? Well, do I have $100 million in my pocket? Fuck no, right? Cool, I ain't above that work. And I think my roommate embodies this. I guess my friend who was one of my roommates, he's in Great Britain right now visiting his family, but he embodies this so well, and it's unlike anything I've ever seen. I can truly say that. And without a shadow of a doubt, that single quality that he has is more impressive than anything I have ever seen out of an individual. And this coming from, hey, people, I have been around people that I've had my jaw on the floor with. Not only is he one of them, he is the one where my jaw is the lowest. And the second point in this whole story, I'm going to continue this story here in a second, but learning was never an option, it was the answer. In terms of humility, he's 5 years older than me, I think. He's 20, yeah, he's 5 years older than me. He obviously has a wealth of experience being 5 years older than me in just terms of life. And yet, a 22-year-old, I guess not 23, but a 22-year-old at the time, who was clearly way more immature than him. I'm nowhere near as mature as this guy is. He was willing to listen to. and he was willing to learn from. And the humility that that shows and the humility that that takes to understand that learning comes first and learning is the key, that's insane. Like, it is absolutely insane to see that. Everything aside, this guy has something to teach me. And don't get me wrong, I'm not bad at this whole business thing, but like, he was able to take that humility, throw it completely aside, say, you have shit I want to learn from you. And he not only did that with me, he did that with everyone. I've spent a lot of time with this guy over the last 6 months, and I have never seen somebody learn so much from every single person around him. I've never seen it. I've never seen it in all aspects of life. And this guy is now like big brother to me, right? One of the closest guys in the world to me right now. But the two biggest things that are endless and I will never be able to get out of my head, and I'm using this video as a reminder to myself that I need to start embodying these things more, because they're things that I used to think I was complete with, and now I've put, I guess, to the side. And it's basically something that I talked about in one of my previous videos, but just stop thinking. Turn your radar off. Stop having ideas. Stop thinking that you are above the shit that you are actually above, because that's not how the world works. You're not above anything. Anyone at any point can become better than you at ABC thing. Do you think Messi or Ronaldo or Shohei Ohtani go and they think, oh, I'm above doing footwork drills. I'm above doing T drills if you're Shohei Ohtani? Fuck no. Fuck no. They're the people who are least above that shit, because they understand that they ought to practice what they preach. And I need to remind myself of that more, because there's it's funny, so many things relate to this. But recently, I'm a big Formula One guy, and recently I saw an interview with Lewis Hamilton. For those of you who don't know Lewis Hamilton, 7-time world champion in the greatest of all time conversation, along with 2 or 3 other people in Formula One, which is one of the most demanding sports, I believe, in the world. So right now he's struggling because his car kind of sucks. But somebody said during an interview, while he was getting interviewed, Lewis, remember who the fuck you are. I love that. I love that. Remember who the fuck you are. So if anybody is listening, anyone, right? I'm obviously looking at my screen here, but if anybody out there is listening, find that prime version of yourself. Remember who you are. Throw the humility aside. Stop thinking. Get back in the game. That's what it takes. That's what winners do. And then the second point on all of this is just, you're never done learning. There's always people to learn from. Always, 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 always. Doesn't matter if you are the best in the world. There are always people you can learn from, because there's a 0% chance that you have 100% maxed out stats in life. It's not possible. I don't believe it. And if you believe it, well, kudos to you. That's your prerogative. I don't. You can stay where you are, and I'm going to keep learning. So those are the biggest 2 things that I wanted to share, because the story and the journey that my friend has been on over the last 2 years that he's told me about, I guess 10 years that he's told me about, but I was able to live the last 6 months of that with him, very, very close to him. And there have been very few people that have impressed me that much and reminded me of so many lessons that have taught me so much. So I think I would have been doing a disservice to him and a disservice to myself if I didn't make this video talking about those things, because as much as I don't want to be this manifestation mindset guy, a lot of times I think that we have to be for ourselves, and we have to be for the people around us, because I don't think you just owe it to yourself to remind yourself of the state that you can be in and remind yourself of the shit that you can achieve, but also to remind the people around you. Because I think if you hold yourself to a standard, then it is your responsibility to bring the people around you to that standard as well. But with that, obviously, if you like this kind of stuff, leave a comment, consider liking, consider subscribing. And in any case, I will see you all in the next video.